Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Third Impact Anime Podcast. And we have a very special bonus episode for you today. I'm Ryan, your host, and with me, I have the development team of a recently released indie RPG called Quartet. And you may remember that we had them on the show, I think sometime last year, and the game finally came out. So I have them here to talk about it again. So hi, everybody. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
I'll go first. How about that? I'm Patrick Holloman, author of the Reverse Design series. I'm an independent game developer, a contract worker for various indie games by trade, and I was the director, writer, and systems designer of Quartet.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Meir. I'm a composer and trumpet player by trade, and I was the producer and battle balancer of Quartet. And composer. Did I say that? Yeah, I wrote music.
And I'm Peter Rubel. I'm the programmer for Quartet. I'm a programmer by trade, and I did the programming on Quartet, mostly Unity stuff, C#, and lots of scripting for the mini games too. So.
All right. Well, welcome, gentlemen. It's great to have you back. So, since we last spoke, what's everybody been up to? What have you guys been playing?
I've been playing way too much Final Fantasy Tactics, Elise Chronicles.
How is it?
So it's pretty amazing. I mean, so I would, I didn't play a lot of video games during the development of Quartet. I have two young kids, so I just kind of, when I had free time, it was just after my kids went to bed, and those few hours after that was working on Quartet, and that was kind of the grind for a couple of years.
That makes sense.
I tried to play games here and there, but I just, I was too tired or didn't have an injury. But since Quartet has come out, we got slowed down a little bit. I've just been playing way too much Final Fantasy Tactics. A lot of times where I pretend I'm working at home and I'm actually just playing Final Fantasy Tactics.
I hear that.
I'm just joking. I'm working all the time. But no, that's mainly what I've been playing. And, testing Quartet too for like upcoming console ports and stuff. But mostly Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah. Tactics is on my list. I just have not had the budget and or time to add yet another game to my backlog, but I'm glad to hear that it's good. Patrick, what about you?
I played some Final Fantasy Tactics for sure. I played Dungeon Warfare 3, which is like if you're really into like niche hardcore tower defenses, it's like probably the second most hardcore tower defense after Gemcraft. And I also have been playing a bunch of Hades 2.
Ooh, I need to get that one as well.
It's pretty good. The story is not there for me. Put the gameplay like the first one had a really cool conceit, but this time around the story's kind of mad, but the gameplay is pretty fun.
That's great. Yeah, a good friend of mine likes to say that we are in an era where there is too much good content.
Yes, that has perhaps affected indie games.
And Peter, last but not least, what about you?
Yeah, I just finished the Trails in the Sky First, the remake, and had a lot of fun with that. And now I'm just kind of biding my time. Well, playing a little bit of Shrine's Legacy while I bide my time for the Power Wash Simulator and the and the new Katamari. So they're coming out like a day apart of each other. So I'm just maybe I'll just take that week off and just like binge until those are done.
Yeah, a buddy of mine owns a power washing company locally, and he hates Power Washing Simulator because he's like, hey, if everybody wants to power wash, why don't you come help me? But yeah, it's so much fun. It's such a relaxing game. I love those. And also, I have a specific question for you because I know you love anime. What have you been watching?
Yeah, so I watch most of the seasonals. I'll usually give each one like 1 to 3 episodes before. And but the season's been really good. Probably my 2 picks for the season. One of them is called May I Ask for One Final Thing? And it's your standard villainous setup. It opens, with the heroine having her engagement terminated by the bully prince. But instead of like running away and like slowly getting her revenge over the next 3 years, she just goes and beats the crap out of everyone. So that's nice. It's a nice little refreshing change of pace on a somewhat common setup. The other one that I've been enjoying more than I was expecting, it's called Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. And it's about like a 40-year-old guy who is a kind of got that that middle school mentality of wanting to be a superhero, and he finds a reason to like become a crime, vigilante, and it's corny and over the top and shonen baloney, and I love it. And the music is fantastic, absolutely peak.
Does it basically give off the vibe of like a kid in the playground trying to do like a Naruto Rasengan against the
I think
school
so.
bully?
Yeah. They definitely go all in on that, and they even have like the villains are also reenacting those kinds of characters. And so anyway, I don't give too much, but it's been weird. Definitely one of the weirder shows I've watched, but just it's been fun and weird and different, and there's so much anime out there that you don't get that often.
So weird, but a
that's
good
been nice
ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those are always fun. Yeah, myself, I finished playing Quartet, obviously. I started playing Clair Obscur recently, but I haven't had too much time to actually sink into that. And I've recently found myself going down a rabbit hole of Paper Mario 64 mods, and there are a lot of those out there. But today I actually spent a good amount of time playing Steam Next Fest demos. I played Tabletop Game Shop Simulator, which ate around 5 hours of my time without even noticing. I played Escape from Ever After, which is a Paper Mario-like RPG, and it's very good so far. And the last one that I'm interested to see how development goes, because it's a little clunky, is called Quarantine Zone. It's basically Papers, Please, but you're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and the people you're letting through, you have to determine whether or not they're infected. It's really interesting stuff, and I really enjoy doing Next Fest every time it rolls around.
We appreciate people doing Next Fest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Help us a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we know
Next Fest is huge for us.
Do we
Sorry,
know if we
I
have
didn't
any
interrupt.
friends who are participating in this year's or in this season?
I don't think
Most
so.
of the people we know have either shipped their game or they're a ways away. Yeah, Shrine's Legacy, the aforementioned
Kingdoms
Shrine's
of the
Legacy.
Dump is the only one, but I don't think they are. If they are, then you should definitely play Kingdoms of the Dump demo.
Okay.
But if they are not, and I don't think they are,
What was the name of that one?
You should. Kingdoms of the Dump. It's like the next indie JRPG to come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kingdoms of
Coming out in
the Dump.
November.
Got it.
So not
Yeah.
too long from now.
I know Next Fest is like supposed to be for games that aren't out yet, but I do see a couple that are like having just come out. Did you guys participate this time?
Yeah.
No, we did this
when was it,
summer.
like in May or June or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. I think it was after Taylor Hoyt, who has a YouTube channel, did a thing called Indie Quest, which was like a showcase for independently made RPGs. We were featured in that. That's when we announced our launch date of August
nice.
26th. And then like a few weeks after that, we saw that Steam Fest was happening, and we opted in, and they accepted us, and we got a demo ready for that. And that actually helped quite a bit. I think we got a lot of people pretty excited about the game, and we got a lot of good feedback, and also just like a lot of wish lists. So if you're an indie developer listening, I would say take advantage of an X Fest. Maybe try to pick the one that's the most strategically timed with your release to maximize its impact. But I would say that was definitely a huge benefit to us. Probably like, I'm trying to think of all the things we've done to like build hype / market. That would probably be the most effective thing we did, I think.
Probably the only effective thing we did.
Well, I mean, we also gave out keys to press, and like we got we did some stuff to like target, like we looked for reviewers of like Chained Echoes and other big ones, and like reached out to those directly to give them keys. So like we did a few things, I feel like.
I overstate the case, but marketing as an indie is hard when you don't have a budget, and you never know what's going to land because you're often at the mercy of someone else.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, so Next Fest was nice because we got like players playing who were maybe sort of curious about the game and playing it, giving us feedback, and then getting a lot of wish lists and getting some momentum. I remember being really encouraged after, because you work on the game for so long, and you just don't know. We had a lot of friends who'd been testing out throughout all the years of development. We'd make a chapter, we'd have friends play it, we'd watch it, we'd take notes, we'd make changes. But like, you don't really understand your product or how it's going to be received. And when that Next Fest demo came out, I remember like people playing it and like getting a lot of positive reception and feeling like really encouraged, because you just don't know. You're sitting on this product and you're just wondering, is this good? I don't know. Like you think it might be good, but you're too close to it. It's kind of hard to be objective, I think. So
Yeah,
it's
and
useful.
me personally, anytime I work on something, I'm immediately critical of it. I'm like, this is crap. Nobody's going to like this.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that about anything I've ever made until
Yeah.
proven otherwise.
Yeah. But one of the best things of marketing that I saw you guys do was actually Tyler posting in the Facebook group RPG Sanctuary, because that's how I found you guys.
Yeah.
Like I saw your post and I was like, that looks really cool. And then I immediately like kickstarted you and, been following you ever since. But like, yeah, ever since like I saw you post in there, I've like seen you guys pop up like just on YouTube or whatever. So like whatever you've been doing, it works. So yeah.
Yeah. I was really grateful for that Facebook group. I don't even know how I found it. There used to be like a turn-based RPG Facebook group that was pretty popular. We'd post it here and there, but then that got closed down or something. Maybe someone in that chat like referenced the RPG Sanctuary one, and I would just post there here and there. I would always get like really good reception. And at some point, I think the mods just like made any post I made automatically get accepted.
Oh, nice.
So because like I think usually when you post in that group, there's like a moderation time where like a mod has to manually approve your post. And I didn't realize at the time. I would just post something and like 5 minutes later or like 5 seconds later, I'd just automatically in the server, and I'd be like, oh wow, they have really fast moderation. Then I heard later that they just auto approved it. So that was really cool. That was a really supportive community. And
yeah, no, it's such a great community. It's like it's pretty big for a Facebook group too. It's like 200,000
really
people
big.
At this point.
We got a lot. Yeah, we definitely got a lot of eyeballs and a lot of people who just like genuinely, unironically love RPGs and are just kind of there to talk about games they like, which is cool to have that kind of space. Like obviously, there's different RPG spaces on the internet, like where you could be more critical or talk more in depth about a game, its pros and cons or whatever. And that's valid too. I think like I like that too. But like that group always struck me as just like, this is a bunch of people who just love RPGs and just kind of want to talk about it.
Yeah, I love it because they just embrace positivity and they all just like talk about what they love.
Yeah,
sure. Definitely a lot easier to chill there than it has been on like Reddit and a few other places.
When has it ever been easy to chill on Reddit?
Yeah, Reddit's interesting for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to take a short break and then we'll jump right back into it. So stay tuned. Okay, so since the last time we spoke, you guys finished and released a game. So I think when we last spoke, you had finished all of the character chapters and were beta test. You had a beta out for one of the later chapters once everybody had gotten together. I think it was chapter 8, if I'm remembering correctly. So my one question is like, how does it feel to have finally finished, like, I know this isn't the first for some of you, but like, how does it feel to be done?
Strange. Like it's good. Like I'm really glad that a game came out, but then there's this giant hole in your life. If you're someone, who if you're making just your one piece of art for your lifetime and you're done, some people do that and they're just done. But if you want to make a lot of things and you have a history of making things, then whenever you release, a major project, you just have this big hole in your schedule and you're in a hole in your vocation. But at the same time, it's really great to see how positive the reception has been. Like we have like a 95% positive rating on Steam. So people who play the game love it. And so that's what you do it for. You want people to like the thing that you make.
That's incredible. 95% is huge.
Yeah, we're not at like 5. You have to get 500 reviews to get overwhelmingly positive. Mm-hmm. And who knows if we'll ever get there. But yeah, it's people who played it really like it a lot, and so that's why we made it, right? So that people would play it and like it. That's why you make art.
I actually don't think I've written a review for it yet. I might do that after this.
Yeah, we really appreciate the folks who take time to review the game for sure. I mean, like as a small creator, like every review counts a lot, like literally and figuratively. And I like what Pat said. Yeah, like we were sort of like, we were chugging hard at the end, like to get this game out, and we had like a decently long beta that started around June, I think, where the whole game was done, and we had a lot of folks playing it. And actually, I would have to really give a huge shout out to the folks who play tested for it. They did a great job. They were really in the weeds. We fixed so much stuff in those 2 months. We were able to polish a lot, get a lot of things fixed, clarify a lot of things. But yeah, once the game came out, I mean, I felt really relieved. I was my first game of release, Shadows of Adam, I was just a mess the whole time up to release, and then afterwards, the game released with like some like hard crash that we couldn't figure out, and it was really stressful, and I was like getting sick about it, like literally getting sick, and I was like just reading all the comments and not dealing with that well. This game, I felt like just like way better positioned. Like I felt the game was way in a better spot. I felt like the game was a stronger game just from our experience and just expertise that we had gained through the years. And so I felt like a lot more confident. But I do remember we set an embargo the day before release, that Monday, 25th. And the night before, I was just like, gosh, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and there's 3 things that are going to happen. Either I'm going to wake up and there's no reviews. That was, in my mind, the most likely option. It's like, no one's going to review it. The second option is there are reviews, but they're just like, this game fucking sucks. And in my mind, I had like a list. This is the reasons everyone's going to hate the game. And I just had these reasons so I could like be prepared. So if I saw it, I'd be like, oh, well, I knew that was going to be the reason they hated it. So I had that in my mind. And then the third distant reason was that maybe like people might like it a little bit. But then that Monday morning, like right at the dot at 9 a.m., there was a bunch of YouTube videos that all dropped out. I remember searching on my phone and just seeing them all, and all the thumbnails were like, a little hyperbolic. I mean, that's what YouTubers do. But they were like, Indie RPG of the Year, best turn-based game of 2025. And I was like really hyped and just relieved to see that, especially since there's some reviewers who don't pull punches and are really honest with their thoughts. And I had in my mind just imagine like a reviewer or two that in that space of just like being like giving us like a really pointed and sassy takedown of Quartet. I was like bracing myself for that. So that was really relieving. And then when the game came out, got good feedback, and the few things that were like high statistical feedback we were able to address, mainly thanks to Peter for working his ass off after post-release. But yeah, and since then I've just been feeling like I don't know what to do in my life. I'm sort of burnt out, but also like aimless. That's why I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah. And I mean, as somebody who's never released anything like this, I can't really speak to that, but I do remember when I finished college, I kind of had a similar feeling. Like I finished my last final and I still had 2 days on campus because graduation. And I was just like, what do I do with my time now? Like I have no idea how to fill this, and I filled it with Persona 5. Yeah, no, like that's definitely what you should be doing. Like relax, you've earned it. But
yeah, now we gotta do the console ports in the DLC.
Yeah, the rest only lasts so long.
Yeah, so console ports. So you're only out on PC right now. What is your target for console ports?
Well, we were hoping for this year, but there's some certain business reasons may end up making it more important to release all console ports at the same time.
Yeah.
So if that happens, then it will be early next year.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep everybody updated. It won't be secret or anything. So it's not gonna. We'll keep everybody updated about exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Switch definitely. PlayStation 4-5 definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were not.
Yeah, I can confirm for sure. I was testing it on Switch today. So that's really making good progress. So yeah, we're very close.
So with Switch, are you releasing for Switch 1, or is it going to be like a Switch 1 and Switch 2 release, or is it kind of is the Switch 2 kind of too new for you to do that right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going into super specifics. Yeah, it's going to be Switch 1. As far as I understand, Switch 2 games are backward, or Switch 2 is backwards compatible console, right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Peter?
Yeah, so we're targeting Switch 1, and so you'll be able to play it on your Switch 2.
Right. And the DLC, pretty much the way that I approach things is like whenever I kickstart something, I just try to put it out of sight, out of mind, because I know it takes so long. So I actually missed the announcement that you guys were going to be doing post-launch DLC. What's that going to look like?
Well, 1.2 is like nearly done, probably in the next day or two as of this recording. And that's just wrapping up a few small, like extra little small pieces of content that were collaborated with our Kickstarter backers that didn't make the 1.0 release. Like we didn't cut anything from the scope of our game, like at all. Like the game was like everything we like in some ways we like added more, especially in the last chapter, to what we originally scoped. But there were these two like kind of small pieces of content. One was basically done, but had a little tech we needed, and another was a mini game one of our backers, high level backers, wanted to do, and so we asked him if we could just punt that for later. He was cool with that. So those will be coming in 1.2, and some other small quality of life. I think Peter implemented an autosave and some like battle curse memory, little things like that. So that's kind of like a mid-size DLC. But then Pat could maybe talk about the next one, the last really big free DLC.
Yeah, this will be a free DLC called Gluhender's Grotto. And it will be sort of like a bottle episode. It's another backer sponsored thing where we're going to have sort of more time to hang out in the subconscious and/or nightmares and/or dreams of various characters and have a bunch of odd pairings. So like just seeing characters bounce off each other like pinballs in ways that we didn't have time and scope for in the main game because we wanted to keep our pacing really brisk. And we wanted to keep each of our side quests focused on sort of one character, right? Like this is Jerome's side quest, this is Alexandra's side quest, this is Nikolai's side quest. And the characters talk, but we did a very Final Fantasy VI style end game, and that means focusing on one character at a time. But this DLC will take place in a sort of magical dungeon, and lots of very strange things will happen, and those strange things will put our characters into various odd combinations, and they will solve puzzles, fight battles, and unravel the mystery of why they're there and why they can't leave.
That sounds interesting. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Actually, that's the last free DLC. We also have a proper DLC, like a standalone purchasable DLC called Tournament of Heroes, which was promised by our Kickstarter. So that's we have to, we're committed to that. But basically it's your standard tournament arc with a few maybe other features that we wanted to add over the years. And then there will also in the tournament arc be a small, no spoilers, murder mystery going on of some mischief is at play in our tournament and things are not what they seem. But the meat of it will be fighting various arena-based challenges with different party compositions and limitations.
So from what you just described, it kind of sounds like Glitzville a little bit.
It sounds like what?
Glitzville from Paper Mario.
Okay, I don't think I ever played that. I played Paper Mario 1, but I didn't beat it.
Okay. Yeah, it's in Thousand Year Door. There's like the third chapter is a tournament arc where there's a mystery. But
yes, well, you know what? It's an homage to the great Thousand Year Door. Thousand Year Door fans will love it. They should buy, every single one of them should buy this.
There you go. That's exactly what you needed to say.
Finally, they're getting the respect and fan service that they've always wanted. You heard it here first.
Heck yeah. Well, that's great. I'm excited to jump back into this whenever those are available. I started playing right after 1.1 was available. I think I started playing like late September and then I finished early October. Just because I had so much going on in September that I just did not have time for games at all. And I'm like, I really want to finish this one game that I've been playing before I start Quartet because I have a horrible thing where I don't finish games if I start something else.
You're here.
So yeah, so I did that and then was able to play, and I had multiple days where I just did nothing but play Quartet, and honestly it was a fantastic experience through and through. But one last question I have about production. Are you guys going, if you're able to tell me this, I understand business, like, NDAs and everything, are you guys going to be doing another limited run like you did with Shadows of Adam?
Stay tuned.
Cool. Yeah, Limited Run Games is actually right down the road from where I live, their physical brick and mortar store. So I walk in and I see Shadows of Adams, and I've like seen a couple of people pick it up and they're like, oh, this looks cool. And I'm like, you should buy that. Yeah.
We'll pay for a chair so you can just sit there. and just keep doing that for the indefinite future. That'd be great.
It's gonna have to have like way more back support than you were thinking because I have a bad back.
Yeah,
You too?
Depending on how many copies you sell, we can actually get you a chiropractor on site.
Okay. 10% commission, right?
Yep.
Sounds great.
Oh, limited runs in North Carolina. For some reason I thought it was in Seattle. Or is it? Did I just make that up?
No, it's in North Carolina.
Okay,
You're
I don't know
thinking of
why it's in Seattle.
thinking of a very similar competitor, Microsoft.
Yeah. I think you might be thinking of Pink Gorilla. They're in Seattle.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking of. I don't know many things.
Yeah, I don't know. But no, limited run, like all the Switch releases that I've played have always been great. I played Shadows of Adam on my Switch actually, and I love that too. And I love having physical. I actually had thought that I had kickstarted for a physical for you guys because that's what I normally do. And then I looked back and I remember making a comment on one of your posts, Tyler, about Quartet, and I was like, man, I have to wait for my physical though. And you were like, do you? And I was just like, oh, no, I guess I don't. So then, yeah. And I'm glad I didn't have to wait for a physical. But yeah, so any physical that you do wind up putting out, I will be picking up.
Excellent. Tell the 9,999 of your closest friends.
Will do. I have maybe 12.
Look at this guy, Mr. Popular. Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Well, you have friends? Holy smokes.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't think I've been in the presence of my friends more than once since COVID happened.
Yeah. Really funny story, actually. Peter is in our social Discord, which, you know, shameless plug, you should join our social Discord if you are a fan of anime and anime podcasts. And so I dinged him in one of the channels saying, like, hey, I just finished Quartet, and like I gave him my like quick thoughts. And one of the guys in there was like, wait a minute, you're one of the developers for Quartet? And he was like, oh yeah, I am. And he's like, oh, I'm really excited to try that. He messages me on the side and he's like, how the heck did you get like the Quartet in the server? And I'm like, they were in an episode like last year. It was really funny though.
Oh, nice. And I think you reported a bug that we fixed at 1.2. So
Yeah.
Look forward to getting your magical sausage.
Yeah.
Oh, that was you. Yeah,
That
you
was
ran
me,
into
yeah,
a very
that was
rare
me.
bug. Sorry about that.
Because I had beaten Duck Dog, and then
Yeah.
Ben just makes some quip. He's like, huh, sausage. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I Googled it, and some like YouTuber had done a playthrough, and I looked up what they did, and they had gotten like a sausage. And I'm like, oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, I think what happened was like the exact turn he's scheduled to run away, you defeated him in, and so like he ran away, but then it also triggered the scene afterwards. So when he dies, he's supposed to drop the item.
Okay.
Anyway, Peter fixed it. So
Yeah, it's fixed, and you just revisit the cave. You get your sausage, and this is the most important feature of the release is you know sausage reparations. So
Yeah, of course. I mean, my experience was just, you know, completely ruined because I didn't get an item that I didn't know I was supposed to have.
I mean,
But
you know,
there was one other
unfortunate,
bug that I did find. I think I mentioned this to you as well. Cordelia's ult. I can't remember what it's called.
Almighty.
Thank you. I used seconds on her, and then did the ult against the boss, like the boss that's basically like two giant skeletal heads. I think it was in the Earth Shrine. So she did the first one, then triggered the second one. She stayed like up in the air for the rest of the battle, and the background didn't change from like the cosmic background. But then when I beat the battle, it like hung for a minute, and I had to reboot the game and do it again.
No.
But it didn't happen the second time.
I think that should be
That's
fixed
good.
now.
that combo is always has caused no end of headaches for me personally. I think we got most of them. Maybe there's still one more in the lurking, but
Yeah.
I mean that combo is also overpowered. So
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's actually a developer nerf. Like 1 out of 10 times you use the combo, will just soft lock the game because it's too strong.
Honestly,
Once out of 1,000 times, it'll
valid.
delete
Too
your
much
save
cosmic
file.
power. Yeah. I think you told me that you nerfed it, so you have to have an item that prevents silence in order for her to be able to do it a second time.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. That seemed like a sensible nerf. So like you had to do a little bit of like work on your gear loadout to get the benefit of seconds. But and for people who don't know, the move basically is really powerful, costs a lot of AP, and when you use it, it silences Cordelia. That's the big trade off. But it's easily dispelled if you just wear like the ribbon equivalent in our game. But a move called Seconds, which the Cook bin has, basically makes it so any skill or action that a character takes, they'll just instantly do it again. And before in beta, I think what happened was like if you didn't have the item on, she would do it, get silence, and then do the second version. And we were like, we should make you have to like at least wear like you should have to like have something that prevents seconds. So now or silence. So now if you try to do that, it will just do the first one. She'll get silence, and then it will say like can't complete second action, or I can't remember exactly what it says, but yeah.
Yeah, can't cast while silence.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you think that move is too powerful, switch to hard mode and be prepared for some surprises.
No, I meant to do a little bit of hard mode. I started on Ben's chapter in hard mode and then got distracted, and I was like, I don't really have the mental fortitude for hard right now. But yeah, I definitely want to give it a shot. I didn't think that the difficulty was like bad though. I thought it was very well balanced pretty much the entire time. Like I would feel kind of the stress of like I'm getting close to death. I'm going to just like send out my biggest spells and like hope for the best, and then I'd win by like an inch, and I probably shouldn't have won a couple of times, but you know, it was like I was close enough that, you know, I crossed the finish line. But like no, I definitely felt like the balancing was there.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, that's like sort of the sort of experiences I like to create, where like you feel like you clutched it out. You were like just at the edge.
Yeah.
One thing that did surprise me on release was like a lot of people were like, "This game's too easy," and he's a hard mode, and I didn't even wipe once, and I was like, "Huh." So like people like won't feel satisfied with the difficulty unless they literally game over a couple times, and that was kind of interesting.
I don't think I game over it at all, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Like I play a lot of strategy games, so like I'm used to winning, but I know when a game's too easy. I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, I think majority of players probably want to feel like they're pushed to the edge, but they overcame. Rather than there is a certain kind of player for sure that likes to just get owned and wants to like have to try a battle 4 or 5 times or whatever. But I was always like a fan of like the way Miyamoto designed his games, where like you could win the first try if you just kind of like paid attention, but it would feel like kind of dire. And you know, a lot of the classic RPGs were not very difficult games. Our game is definitely more difficult than say a Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, because I just think the taste of the modern player has changed a little bit. But that was something I always admired about those older games, and I think that's why they were so ubiquitous and so beloved by almost everyone, right? I mean, I don't know how old you are. I guess you said you had a bad back, so I'm gonna guess you're like 38.
33, but thanks.
But you know, back in the day, like everyone played FF7. Like not just the RPG. Like there were some of us that played RPGs before that, right? Like we were like the OGs. But when the FF7 came out, like everyone played it. Like it was like the most ubiquitous game ever. And it was quite an easy game, and I think that was to its merit. But you know, we have 3 difficulty options, so you can sort of like pick whatever fits best for the specific player, which I think is probably what the current market expects these days.
Yeah, I'm also like a huge proponent of a game does not need to be hard to be fun. Like I don't always want to have Dark Souls punishing levels of difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's my preference too. But you know, when you sell a product, you know, you have to sort of. I mean, you can not respond to the market feedback. You could just say this is what the game is. But I think, you know, some decisions are probably worth making. It. You know, the hard mode wasn't specifically especially hard to do. It took a lot of testing, but like as far as like setting up the basic how it's going to work.
Yeah, and we had some good tech to support that, you know.
We did.
Between like being able to like completely override certain enemies' AIs and you know, having access to the so we could tweak other things outside of combat as well. That's something that we don't really publicize, but like if you put the game in casual mode, there's a few puzzles that we actually nerf as well. So so yeah, if you're having trouble in the wind tower in Ben's chapter, like if you set it to casual, like you can like walk very slowly and still make it through.
I thought that Alexandra's puzzles were the harder ones because it was like the slider puzzles. I had to reset those a couple of times. Yeah, the Wind Tower I didn't think was too bad. But Tyler, it's funny that you bring up Final Fantasy VII because I have a screenshot in my Steam folder from the game. And for context, by the way, my first Final Fantasy was 4. And I was in the library at the university, and I happened to see someone has handwritten on the inside cover, Final Fantasy 4 and 7 are so overrated. And I felt personally attacked by that.
Okay. So people like really get a kick out of this. So
yeah.
let me hashtag set the record straight. No, that was a Kickstarter backer so one of the rewards was just to like have a custom book text, and Pat like tried to work them into the fiction as much as possible. A lot of times he says Dr. Slopemouth, which I think was a Slopemouth like a literal translation of Sakaguchi.
Yeah.
The creator of Final Fantasy. Or it says like a commentary on the work of Dr. Slopemouth. So, and then it says FF7 and 4 are so overrated. That was a weird one because like usually like if someone like there's no shortage of people who say FF7 is overrated. If you're a person that says that, you probably love FF4. The Venn diagram of someone who thinks that both 4 and 7 are overrated is probably like literally that one person. I feel like
pretty much
freaks.
So that was like a very bespoke opinion. But yeah, a lot of people saw it. A lot of people like when the game came out would DM me on Twitter and be like, "Oh, look at this!" Like we love it. I love FF7. I know FF4 is a huge. Peter loves FF4. I love FF4. Okay. I mean, I like all like 4 to 10. I like pretty much all of them except for maybe 8. So
it is.
We
funny,
don't co-sign that opinion.
I didn't know that about Slopemouth though, because I kept on seeing that name throughout. Like I read like most of the books just because I have a compulsive need to check every bookshelf because it might have an item. So I would see like all the little blurbs that you had, and I kept seeing that name, and I was like, "Is this dude gonna be like a secret boss?"
That's a great idea. He should be in the Tournament of Heroes, Pat.
He's a diminutive man with a mustache.
Yeah, pretty much.
I actually didn't know that about Dr. Slopemouth either, and I don't know if we've talked about that publicly yet.
We have never done that. Yeah, I don't know that I ever would have. I would have let people hang on that one. I would have like, who is this Slopemouth guy?
I gave it away.
Yeah, because like I kept on seeing, I was like, man, they really like well thought out lore and everything.
There's even like there's like a mini game in Seekeron side quest where it's something like, it's a book on Dr. Slopemouth entitled The Sixth Fantasia. It's like. Yeah, having a little fun with the FF6 thing.
Yeah, I did see that one. Which is actually, I saw that one, and then I saw the direct quote of Final Fantasy 4 and 7, and I was like, wait a minute, there's a bit of a dichotomy here. So that makes a lot more sense that it was a Kickstarter backer, actually. I didn't know that.
So basically anything you see in a book that is not like very specifically lore related is a backer. There's like about like 117, 119 books by backers.
That makes sense.
Which went totally easy and to find places for all of them. Definitely, it was a labor of love to find a place for. It's not that long a game, so finding 119 bookshelves was actually kind of challenging in the end.
It was.
We were like, wow, did we really sell all these books?
A lot of bookshelves though. Like you stuck in a lot of them like over the course of the game. Like I think I don't even remember how many like actual tomes I wound up finding, but there were a lot.
Well, yeah, that's the issue is that we wanted to put tomes on a lot of them, and so part of the reason why you can't find enough strength tomes is because no, just kidding. We could fit them in everywhere, but yeah, it's finding all. Once we had the tomes down, we added the books, the backer books, relatively late, and so we were just like, all these things are filled with tomes. Now we need to fill them with backer books, and we were a little bit pressed, but we did find a way. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I liked that you kind of had them scattered around as well. So there were some that were like really obvious, like you just see a tome and you could go pick it up and then it's off the field. Like I said, I'm one of those people that if I know the game has hidden items, I will be checking everything that looks like it might have an item.
Yeah. And one thing I'm proud about with the tomes specifically is like there's like a lot of like game design, I guess, settled theories or knowledge. It's like, everything that's interactable should have like a little UI icon or a sparkle. And I totally get that. But like a lot of Quartet's design ethos is like, we'll sort of like lead you visually to something and trust that the player finds it. And then once they find the one, they're going to like, no, okay, I know that this is a thing I can look for. What I'm trying to say is we never like tell the player or show the player in any UI sense that there's tomes and bookshelves, but yet everyone finds them. So I feel pretty proud of that. The fact that we didn't have to like put, yellow paint on a ladder or whatever.
I
Like,
mean,
I totally understand why games do that. Like, I'm not knocking. I totally get it. It's probably because it's like heavily tested and they're trying to make the broadest possible product at all times where there's like no friction. But when you're a little more niche indie game, you can take a few more chances, I think.
I think it's also more of a problem of AAA games to need yellow paint because like pixel stuff, you can guide a path a lot easier, but like FF7, you have to pick which specific section of the rock wall you are allowed to climb. And it's like all textured the same unless you have like yellow paint.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
Though there is one kind of funny way to find out where the treasures are in FF7 Remake. And I think this is a Jason Schreier quote. You basically just go the path that your companions, you go to the opposite path that your companions go on. So if there's two paths and you see Barrett run down a path, go to the other path. That's where the treasure is. Because obviously, like the AI companions are going to run to the path on the main critical path, right?
Right.
So you can just assume by like, years of conditioning of games that like the path that you're not supposed to go on to complete the story is the path where the treasure is, right? That's like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
True.
And you guys did a good job with that too, where pretty much I think like every level or every chapter, there was like a big green or teal chest that had like a nice item in it. If you took a little extra time to like figure out, all right, I see it. How do I get to it?
Yeah, we'd always tease that, like, like right kind of near the entrance, there would be like some path, and you could see, like, there's a big one. I know that's there, so I'm gonna try to find it. I think you got a little bit of that in like in other games like Crosscode. There was always like one chest that you could see that like you'd like pull your hair out trying to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where I actually like got that idea from? I haven't played Crosscode, but I heard the fantastic game, and I know other games have done it, so it's not like an original idea. But yeah, like I just remember as a kid, the first time playing Mario 64 and going to Bomb Battlefield and seeing that star behind that cage.
Oh.
Something about just seeing it and not knowing. And then the one in Hazy Maze Cave as well, where they show you the star. And they're just like, how do you get it? Like, to me, that was such a fascinating game design thing. Because you want it so bad, like Peter said. You're just going to take the time to figure out how to get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have pulled Mario 64 if you like gave me 3 guesses. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We're big fans of Miyamoto's game design. I wrote a book on Super Mario World.
Really?
Part of the Reverse Design series. It's like the book series, Reverse Design. And most of it was on RPGs. 4 out of 6 of the books are on RPGs of different kinds. One of them is on Super Mario World, and honestly, that was the book in which I learned the broadest lessons. Not necessarily the best lessons, not necessarily the lessons that can be applied to literally everything, but very much I learned from Miyamoto like patterns that can be applied very widely in game design. And so when we start quoting like, this is from Mario 64 or Super Mario World or whatever, we really mean that stuff because we really were influenced in terms of like how does difficulty work? How does the UX of of using items or power ups or whatever work? Like those things matter, and the way that Miyamoto did them became the norm. I should say Miyamoto and Tezuka became the norm, and so we've always tried to keep our eye on that and not forget where those came from.
Yeah, that
I
makes
can
a lot
speak
of
specifically
sense.
That when I read Pat's, I mean the reason I worked with Pat is I read his books and then we got in contact like 8-9 years ago. but I can tell you, like specifically the Super Mario RPG or Super Mario World book rather, had this like theoretical concept where you go like the cadence of how like challenges change throughout a level, and I just did that exactly with the way I paced battle encounters in Quartet. You know, we did like more choke point monsters or monsters that like popped up in certain areas. So there's a lot of control to like the order of encounters, and doing it that way, you could really like make each encounter like flow. Like there was like it's like a set, like you're like a band set, like you're going on stage and like here's your set list. So here's your 8 encounters, right? You know, you got to open up with the fast tune, and then you got to do the ballad. Like so, I could like think about it that way and like really like make it flow in a way, really curated way. And it's like, who does that best? Well, Miyamoto and all those Mario games are like some of the most accessible and beloved games of all time. So like, why don't we try to put this in RPGs? I don't know if I ever like said that out loud to the team, but I definitely thought about that. You know, I think that's a really good systematic way to think about the way you could build content. And then Chrono Trigger does this too with the gauntlet battles as well. That's one of my when I replay Chrono Trigger, I'm always thinking like, man, like Chrono Trigger is like a top 5 game for me. It's just so expertly made, you know. Like if you really thought about it, like are the characters that deep? Nah, they're just kind of cool. Is the battle system really that bespoke and complex? Not really. It's really simple. But like what it does, it's like really just done so well. It's so like perfectly crafted and curated, and I just always love that about it.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger.
Obviously, people still love the game.
Oh yeah, so. I played Chrono Trigger way later than most people would expect for somebody who plays as many games as I do. Like I only played it for the first time like 5 years ago, and I loved that I didn't have to grind like at all. And I love that in here too, because I hate pace interruption. Like the one time in your game that I actually thought that I was going to run into random encounters was in the wilderness for Juno's side quest. Because it just kind of, I was like walking on the outside of the overworld. It just kind of felt like I was going to get interrupted by like random encounters because it was the wilderness. But
not
like,
too late, Pete. Let's add it.
I've been lying if I said I didn't consider it.
Yeah.
I mean, you made the music like very velty, so like
Yeah, I know. It's that does feel like a good. I mean, it does make sense what you're saying. Totally, 100%.
But like the fact that it didn't, like, even in all of the chapters, the only time that I like grinded was in the post game, not the post game, chapter 11, because I wanted to just hit level 50 because the only person who had it was Cordelia because she was absent for one of the side quests. And so I just got everybody to level 50, and then I wanted to just get her to level 50, but I didn't even have to grind that much to do that. Because I just went to the final area and did a couple of encounters and she was there. But particularly in the chapters, I appreciated that because I don't like in RPGs where I'm too underpowered and I didn't kill enough things. And I don't like when I'm too overpowered because then the boss is not enjoyable. So having like, this is how many enemies you need to be able to beat in order to be able to beat the boss is just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was what we were going for.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely like a very intentional design choice. It's also a risk in some aspects. Like there are RPG fans, and I think this is totally valid, that just want to grind. And that's what I mean. I'm grinding so much in FF Tactics. There are certain games that I play that like are about the grind, and I love it. So we try to like compromise. There were like little side areas, you know, monsters would respawn if you went to the left of the area and went back. And there actually are 2 spots in the game where that do have random battles. They're very specific spots. If you ever find them in chapter 11, and they're like, and like when you get them, I think even the most like novice of game player like understands that the game is communicating that this is the place where you grind, right?
Yeah.
And one is more of an 8 XP grind, and one's more of a gold grind. And I think it's pretty obvious what they are once you do them. But yeah, I that was definitely the game we wanted to make, and you know, with that decision comes a risk for sure.
For sure.
People can get frustrated. They feel like everything's on rails, or I get that. So, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, that specific area, like chapter 11 in general. The one thing that I've actually told a lot of people recently is like, I hate how everything is so handholdy, and you made me get out a pad and paper because you dropped like subtle hints, like the Adventurers Guild, I think it was called, where they're just like, do you want to know about this like super weapon? And I'm like, yeah, please tell me. They're like, we think it's over in this general area. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a quest log. I have to write that down. And so I got out a pad and paper and I wrote down everything of like, anytime a character mentioned like, oh, you may want to check over here, I think something's going on, or like, I heard of a weird monster over in this area. I wrote it down and I would like cross it off, and I honestly love that. Like it's makes you feel so much more involved in like figuring out what you have to do, and you feel rewarded instead of just following a quest marker that's like, go here, kill this guy, talk to this guy, get your reward.
Yeah, I mean, we did that. We did that because Final Fantasy VI did that, and when we were young, we all felt really clever for figuring out Final Fantasy VI hints, right? Like there's in the Triangle Island to the north, there's a monster that could swallow an ocean. I wonder what would happen if it sucked you inside, right? And like a lot of us were like, figured out, that means I'm supposed to get sucked inside. It won't be a game over. I'll go to a new place. And then you find Go-Go's dungeon, right? And that, what I call in my books, NPC irony, where NPCs communicate game design information to you in an in-universe way, often by saying the opposite of what they mean, right? Like, don't sleep in Doma Castle or else you'll get attacked by demons. Well, what they mean is you should sleep in Doma Castle so that you do get attacked by demons, because this is a shonen RPG, right? This is how we roll, and so like that's the sort of thing we really loved. And we really wanted everyone to be able to play Quartet with no guide, right? Like all of the information that you need about the entire Quartet universe should be inside the game, and right out in the open. And if you just look around, you should be able to find all of it.
Yeah. No, the only time I ever like looked anything up was that one thing I mentioned, and it was a glitch. Like it wasn't even intentional. So no, I didn't need a guide at all. Everything was straightforward. I felt accomplished when I finished all the side quests. I did all the achievements as well. That felt great. Like everything was just rewarding to figure out. Like it was the right balance of like, do a little critical thinking, you can figure this out without having like, it feels like sometimes in older games it's like the game devs just didn't have the capacity to tell you what you needed to know, so you had to like go to the playground and talk to your one friend whose older brother figured it out. Like, yeah.
Can I just very quickly interject with what you're saying? I thought it just came to mind. Remember that in Mario 3 and like World 1, 4, or whatever it was, like there was that white platform. If you just held down on it, you fell behind the level and then found the warp whistle. How the hell did we figure that out? I think someone just told me that at the playground.
Actually,
like,
the reason people figured that out so quickly is because of the wizard.
Was it on the wizard?
Yeah, it was in the movie.
It was in the movie. Like the kid does it, and like I remember when the Nostalgia Critic video came out, he's like, "How did that kid figure that out?" Like that the game hadn't even come out yet. But like, yeah, that was in the wizard, and so everybody was like, "Wait a minute, he's here." He just fell through, so they eventually just held down and figured it out.
So what? Yeah, that does make sense. How in the fiction of the movie would he have known? Yeah, like obviously he's an actor.
No, that movie was just one big ad for the NES.
It was pretty hype though.
Yeah,
when they unveiled the big giant screen, Super Mario 3.
One thing that I really liked as well is everybody was like set in classes, but depending on what items you equip to them, it allowed you to really build them. So there were a couple of times where I had made one character like pretty tanky, then found a new item that would go better with somebody else, and I'd like rebuild everyone but still be able to keep it like balanced within the team. And I really appreciated that because it made everybody like usable. And there are usually games where like there are a couple characters I'm like, I'm just not gonna use them. I don't like how they play. Even the characters that I use the least, they had their purpose. It would be like, all right, I'm gonna start here, do this, swap to the other person. Then, you know, I was able to formulate like a complex strategy, and it was enjoyable to be able to do so. And I liked that any character could have any role depending on how you were able to equip them. How did you manage to balance everything like in such a way that like anybody could really be completely viable?
Mostly brute force on Tyler's part. That's the ugly truth about game development is you just have to work at it really hard. But we also, and Tyler just did an immense amount of work. And part of the strength of our Quartet's production was that we were able to divide our labors. Like, nobody had to wear the hat of everything. That's the biggest part of it. But also, in addition to Tyler's brute force focus on battle and character balance, we started production with a very, very robust vision for what the character was going to do. We had an email chain that Tyler and I sent back and forth when we were doing the pre-production of the game. It was like 760 something emails of like, wow. what should the game be like? What should this character be? Who should this character be? What kind of moves should they have? And we figured out what all the characters should be and how they should fight in battle. And like 80% of that vision persisted through the entire process. And 20% of like we added or tweaked a skill that happened during development. But having a strong vision allowed us to know what roles everyone was going to play. And that really made it a lot easier to make it possible to have all them serve all those roles and also make those roles viable in the broader meta.
And I think one thing that also really helped with that was like we started with that chapter 8 demo for the Kickstarter campaign, right? So we had all the characters, like kind of has this halfway point through the game. You've got most of the kit for each character, and that really helped kind of flesh out, we got a lot of that balancing done like really early in development, and then it kind of became a matter of like, well, when do they learn each of these abilities, and so how do we, and Tyler was just a total boss, taking care of that. But it was neat to see like to have this vision for the characters like out of the gate. And again, like Pat said, like 80% of that, maybe more, like from at least from that point, even more, like probably 90% of that stuff was finalized. It was just kind of their ultimates.
Yeah, there was some tweaking.
Got a little bit tweaked. Yeah. I think Zakaron got a new move, and Alex got a new move. But really,
Zakaron got a new move, right, Peter? We're all playing FF4, and one of Rydia's summons did an current HP damage. And I said, oh, that'd be cool. And I was like scared to bring it up to the team because we had like this kind of, not like this anti-ideas vibe, but we were like trying to really stay focused because we had all been involved with projects that just get like the idea fairy just kind of like leads you astray for a couple months. I was like, this idea would be cool.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you added that. I'm glad you added that for Zikaron because he was the least played character that I used. I would swap him in at the beginning of any boss fight to, figure out what their health was and their weaknesses, and then I would do his kamikaze and then swap him out.
Zikaron's so interesting because like what Peter was talking about with Chapter 8, when we had gotten Chapter 8 really polished and done, I brought it to a couple local conventions, and I had a lot of playtesters play it. I had a notepad, or I had a printed out sheet where I had all the characters, and I said like 1 through 5, I think, 1 being weak, 5 being really strong, like rate all the characters. And I just did like a ton of sheets of that and just try to get everyone like around 4. And Zikaron would be like, either people would say, oh, he's fucking broken, he's a 5, or they'd say he sucks, he's a 1. Like it was never like, no one said he was a 3 or a 2 or 4. It was either 1 or 5. And I was like, I think this character's sitting right. This feels good to me. Like that suggests to me he's like a character that like appeals to certain kind of players.
See,
like,
I understood him, but I did not build him properly in the chapters where he was like one of the only 4 options. So he never really clicked with me because I like did a couple of things wrong where I should have given him like an HP tome so his attacks would have done more damage. But like, no, he was good. I liked him. I just didn't. For my playthrough, he didn't click with me.
Yeah, I think it's like that, and that's sort of like like what Pat and Bieber were saying, like you know, like another thing that helped like sort of shape who the characters were was like when you have like the basic big temple vision, like the big pillars of the design, like other things just like kind of intuitively fall into place. So for instance, like we said, okay, there's gonna be 8 party members, and there's gonna be an FF8 style mechanic where 4 in the front row and 4 in the back, and they can swap on any turn. So with that, that was like a very early decision that I told Pat I wanted to have. And when we made that decision, I said, well, if that's going to be the case, then every character has to do different things, right? Just like if every character, like we can't go full FF6 where everyone could just cast every spell, because then there'd be no reason. They were trying to do a different thing where you could bring anyone to the because you like them for story reasons. But with Quartet, every character's always with you. So we had to say, okay, all 8 characters have to be different. Like they just have to be, otherwise the swapping mechanic isn't synergistic with the vision of the characters. So that helped. And then Pat doesn't give himself enough credit for the battle stuff because he really was the guy who like sat down and said, okay, Nikolai is going to be a healer over time, direct DPS. Juna's an HP tank. He had like that, and then he started sketching out the basic skills. And maybe me and Pete helped riff on a couple here and there. And then I just brute forced the balance of the game because I have very little skills, but I have a lot of tenacity, so I was willing to do it. But yeah, that was definitely like a big decision. Like all 8 characters need to be different, so that you want to swap between them all. And if one character can do everything, then they'll just sort of centralize in the meta. Like I still think that obviously there's a tier list. It's almost impossible to have every character be equally as useful. Like especially like as games develop, they naturally sort of favor certain sorts of attributes. Quartet's probably more about speed and DPS, I would say, if I think about it. But in hard mode, it does kind of become like a little more like you have to, it sort of shifts the meta a little bit more towards like setting up the setup, if that makes sense, where like defensive options become have a lot more value in the meta because the enemies are so much faster and hit so much harder. That's hard to get off your big booms. So like then Alexandra and Zikaron really become a lot more useful and important. Whereas, in maybe normal or easy mode, you just send out Cordelia and just nuke everything.
You burst everybody down, yeah. Whereas you cannot do that in hard mode. They will mess up your.
Yeah, it's just because we're just so squishy, and in hard mode they hit a lot harder, and they're like a little like they have more bespoke AI patterns, so they could do like different sorts of things to you to like make you have to be like, okay, I want to set up Cordelia, but now maybe I should bring Zikaron in so he could reduce the damage output, and then I'll send Alex in, she'll like help. Sorry, I'm going on a lot of tangents, but
no, please.
But that was basically the vision with the 8 characters. Just make them all different and, tweak. And, the especially hard thing was because of the structure of the story where you play these 4 stories in any order. We kind of made the characters with the idea of what they would be like when the whole team of 8 was done. And like Peter said, we made that chapter first. But then when we went back to the beginning to start making it, it was like, oh, now we're going to have a chapter where all you have is Cordelia and Jerome. And then it was like, ooh, this is really interesting. So we got a lot of mileage out of the guest characters that join your party in the early 4 chapters, especially because like a lot of like Alex doesn't heal. Nikolai can't heal in the beginning. So like having guest characters that could fill those roles. And it also is a way to sort of teach like, okay, we're going to have an AoE healer guest character. It's going to sort of teach you how it will be to work with like a Jerome later on, right? So that was another strategy we employed.
Your guest characters were so charming as well, because it's really rare that the bigs and wedges like actually have one good dialogue. Like some of them were very funny, particularly in Cordelia's chapter. Like I loved her guest characters. And then their moves were unique. Like they weren't just copy pastes of each other, and they weren't just the same move set just on a different person. You like actually developed like balanced guest characters, and it was really appreciated. Like it made everything feel like so much more involved to actually question, even though they were all on the main title screen, like, hey, which one of these am I actually going to get to keep?
Yeah, I mean, Pat's a great character writer. I want to just give him his flowers.
It was fun, yeah. But also we had this. We had a couple of great animators who were really able to do a lot of those. Like the issue with guest characters is you have to get anims for them. Like all these, like that battle anims is like where you're going to spend a lot of money. We spent probably almost all of our initial seed money. We had like one modified tile set before Kickstarter, and then we then spent everything else on character animations and UI. And so we had a couple of really great animators. We had, of course, our great art director, Tim Wendorf, but who put the vision together for the art. But also we had Jason Perry and Anthony Alfonso, and they were just able to give us like this endless stream of affordable, well done sprite art for all these guest characters. And without that quartet, I don't even know what it would have done if that had been too expensive or too hard to find somebody who could do it. Because we had a lot of characters that came in. So
23 total characters would guess, right?
Yeah. So yeah, and we also figured out ways to like maximize the use of our frames. Like a lot of characters have like a casting pose, and then out of that casting pose, you can then cast a variety of spells. It doesn't have to you don't need a unique casting pose for every spell. So, it makes it seem like the kit is much fuller than it really is when in actuality, you have one casting pose and then a bunch of effects that you use on other spells, but then you combine them in an interesting way with scripting, which this is a field that used to be called effect scripting. It was very big in the 90s. Effect scripters were huge in Chrono Trigger, for example. All those dual techs are mostly made out of pre-existing graphics. And so we did some really penny-pinching effect scripting to get that going. And that's how we were able to get all these guest characters into the game that had, 2% of the budget of Sea of Stars.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, like the animations and like the art and even just I had no complaints. Like all of it just fit. And the story, there's so many bland slop like clone RPGs out there that are just like Final Fantasy but not Final Fantasy. And like I couldn't even tell you their names because I never played more than like 20 minutes of them when I just wasn't hooked. But the first chapter I played was Ben, and I was laughing so much at the dialogue. Like it was very genuinely funny, and the dialogue was compelling. And yes, Ben was meant to be the funny one, and if I had started with Nikolai, it would have been a different story. But yeah, your writing was fantastic, and it made it actually stand out.
Much appreciated. Yeah, we were trying to write for like people who had played Final Fantasy as kids and now we're grown up. I mean, not that we wanted to exclude young people, but like, just gives people something that takes the genre in a little bit further in a direction. Not the only direction, not necessarily a new direction, because there's always an example of somebody else doing what you are trying to do. But we wanted to just, come at a level of like, now people who played Final Fantasy VI are grown up. What do they want? And here's this, work a day 30-something as one of the characters. That's just something we wanted to do. Is that the only vision? No. And people have like sometimes been a little bit prickly about like, oh, this just has to be this was the old games were for kids. Well, they were for kids, but that doesn't mean they're simple or bad or anything. Or we need to elevate in a medium. We're not doing that. We're just giving a product to people that we didn't see in the market. We love the old games, and we're not denigrating them. I mean, I wrote a book about Final Fantasy VI, right? Clearly, my thoughts and opinions about it are a matter of record.
Yeah, and like a lot of people, when they talk about difficulty in games back then, they're just like, well, games are made for like kids, or they feel like for kids nowadays. But back when I was a kid, we were playing like Contra. Contra was designed to eat your time because you needed to get the full value of the $60 or whatever it was you paid back then. And there were so many games that were designed to be quarter horses that they were difficult because it meant you would have to spend more money on them. Like it wasn't as nuanced as it is now.
Or like rental, like they wanted you to not be completed on a rental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
So like the reasons for games are different now. Like you guys did it because you wanted to. And yeah, it's like way more artistic now. Like you told a really good story. I actually have to like, when I go through my hard mode playthrough, I have to go back and kind of find the little threads connecting, because there are a couple of things that I'm like, I'm definitely sure you answered it. I just couldn't remember from early enough, because it was also something I wasn't thinking about. Like, oh, when did they, hop over? And I'm sure there's like an answer.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to do a lot of setups, but like I think what some people are experiencing when they say they don't see something, and usually they go on a forum like Reddit or they come to our Discord and ask about a question about something, and we're happy to answer. That's not a problem. But like usually it's just that we aim to have the brisk Final Fantasy VI style pacing. That again, a lot of modern contemporary JRPGs have really slowed down. People like that, and that's fine. That's a taste thing, right? We're not here to indict anyone's taste,
Right.
but we wanted to do something different. We wanted to have that brisk pacing. And so when you have brisk pacing, all of those setups and foreshadowing, sometimes they can pass you by because they're just in a line, right? There's like a line in Cordelia's chapter where Gordon, in the first 5 minutes of Cordelia's chapter, where Gordon says, "Oh, but Liornia hasn't had a standing army in 120 years."
I bet that won't ever matter.
Right, like that's a setup. That's a setup for what happens in chapter 10. Is a big important one, right? But there's a lot of things like that where it's just we don't have time to really sit down and have a conversation about the topic. We just have to have that be a passing line, which could be verisimilitude, right? We don't always have time to sit down and talk about everything in real life either.
Yeah. Overall, I really just have so much good things to say about like what you guys did, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else who plays it does too. Was there anything that you guys wanted to specifically like talk about of either development or just something you're proud of with the game?
Well, just to quickly riff off what Pat said about brisk pacing, like, and people having taste, like our friend Peter, he's a huge Trails fan, and Trails fans are just like really like they love their game, and it's like really cool to see how much like they really like love that style of JRPG, and it's just like a different flow with the pacing and the world building, which is totally cool. The 1.3 update we're going to do is going to actually be a little bit slower, right? I can say that, right, Pat?
Yeah, it's going to be a little.
It's sort of like a compromise. Like, hey, like there, like a lot of times we get feedback that says, "I really like the game, but like I wanted more at the end," and that to me is like a good thing. That's like wanting a band to do an encore. Like you really loved it, you just want to. So like to us, we're like, okay, this seems like. Like this just seems like such low-hanging fruit. Like if we're going to do these free updates anyway, like let's make a dungeon that's just like the chill and slow down dungeon. And like what would like these characters like really let them sit and like intermingle in interesting ways. So like we are trying to like accommodate that. And I'm actually quite looking forward to Batsman writing the script. I'm like really looking forward to seeing it, honestly. Because that is stuff I remember as a kid when I would play Chrono Trigger. I'd be like, I wonder what like Frog and Ayla would say to each other. You know what I mean? But the game would keep moving because that's sort of like the style of the RPG at the time. It was like that linear energy. It was like, let's keep moving. Like, there'd be a line or two and you would savor those little lines. But like it may be like a Trails game. Like I think Peter, what did you give me one of this Trails game? And I played the game and like the first 30 minutes was just like 4 characters sitting in a circle talking about like their weapons or whatever. Like really like luxuriating in the small talk. What was that game, Peter?
That was
Daybreak?
That was Zero.
That was Zero,
that was probably
yeah.
Zero.
Yeah. It's just like a different style for sure. So we're not going to go quite Trails in the 1.3 update, but I have been telling Pat, like, hey, like, Pat's like, he's like efficiency man. He wants to like get the point as quick as like, let's just let this one sit. Let's let this one cook. We're going to give Juna a soliloquy. She's gonna walk up the stage and deliver it. No, I'm kidding.
Spotlight.
She's gonna have a song number like in Final Fantasy
VI.
We're gonna do a full opera section with Juna.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The singing. What was she called? Like Eurofant or something?
Yeah.
There you go.
We have a barbershop of
Bro,
Eurofence
don't tip me with a good time. I'll totally do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you could come up with so many crazy ideas to do in that world and like just have fun with it.
Yeah, we're doing like the 1.2 update, which should be coming out at the time of this recording in the next day or two. One thing that's really fun to look forward to is one of the mini games our backers designed. It's quite silly in nature, so of course it's featuring Ben, and the music I wrote for it is quite over the top and silly. And me and Pat actually sing a little bit on it, so look forward to that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
In my case, yeah, with a bad mic. The mic
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Not a ribbon mic.
Yeah, I mixed it in a way where you can't tell it's like badly sung and recorded. But
That's good.
yeah, I think people. No, I mean you'll hear when you hear it, it's like filtered through like a vinyl filter, so it sounds kind of like diegetic in a way, which doesn't quite make sense, but it's even more funny and more bathos.
Okay. Well, it's definitely a lot to look forward to. I'm glad that like It's not going to be just like a drop release and here you go, now enjoy and we'll never see you again. Like I'm glad that I'll be able to have a reason to revisit.
Yeah, I'll do as much DLC as we can afford to do. That's basically it. That's the story.
Sounds good. Pretty much what if you need extra funding, I'll fund a DLC where basically Cordelia and Ben just like have a moment where she tries to teach him language properly and he just doesn't get it and she just like throws books at him and it's just a mini game where you have to like dodge books as Ben.
Or maybe like do like a couples therapy for them too.
Yeah.
That the rest of the party's like, all right, you guys are going to couples therapy. You got to work this shit out.
Yeah. Tony Robbins comes in.
What was that movie like Marriage Story with Kylo Ren and Scarlett Johansson?
Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that, but Ben and Cordelia.
Or who's it? Dr. Phil. Yeah, there's like a doctor. They're on the stage with Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Tell him what you told me.
Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on again. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. And the game's fantastic. Everybody listening, please go check out Quartet on Steam. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, 1.2 will be out and 1.3 will be on the way. And do you have any time frame that you can tease for console ports or not really?
But like I said, depending on whether they have to be bunched together or not, affects it. But it's not a secret. So like if console ports, for reasons that we are technical and we don't need to go into here, if they don't need to be bunched together, then Switch should be out by the end of this year, we hope.
Okay.
Some part of that is not in your control, and there's an NDA that says you can't talk about it, but
Right.
There's a platform holder and they control part of the process. And so you don't have any say in how long that takes. And you don't know ahead of time how long it takes. So that's part of it. But our console build for Switch is nearly done. And then PlayStation will come. But if they need to be bunched together for business reasons, then it would probably be early next year.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to say, but yeah, that sounds about right. Unless you have any thoughts on that, Pete?
Nope. That's exactly what I was going to say. So
Okay.
All right. Well, just to wrap up then, where can everybody follow you guys on social media?
Yeah, just search Something Classic on Twitter and Blue Sky. That's basically the only two platforms we're on. And the Discord community is really cool. This community is really great. There's a lot of like really creative people, and it's a fun, festive group. So that's just discord.gg/something classic. You can come, you can hang out, show us your own. If you're working on something, show us. If you just want to talk about how amazing the soundtrack of Quartet is, I'll definitely stick around to hear that.
It really
95
is.
tracks
it really
of it.
is something.
No, but we appreciate all the support we've had through all the folks that played the game. I mean, I it sounds trite to say that, but I do sincerely mean it. Like, you sit here for years and make this game, and you wonder, people are even going to care, and it's been so gratifying to have people play the game and engage with it, both positively, and even the people who didn't care for it. Like the fact that they so passionately engage with the story has been like a highlight for me. Like it's just. Like, I feel like this was the dream game I wanted to make since I was like 13, and we did it. And thanks to the rest of the team. And yeah, find us on social media. Just don't ask us about an Xbox port.
Don't ask about an Xbox port, you said. Well, no shade there, I guess. All right.
Oh, none at all.
Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much. And thank you for listening to the Third Impact Anime Podcast. And we will catch you next time.
Thanks so much.
Later. Sorry I talked a lot on my bed. I always talk too much.